Well, I'm so excited about our guest today. She is an author. She's authored multiple books. In fact, she's got some best-selling children's books. Her first book, Here We Go, Joe, How One Family Created a Final Home for a Father with Dementia with Love, Honor, and Dignity. She's done some faith books and her children's books, and we're so excited to have Cora Darrah with us today on her new book. And it's called A Story of Durham Told the Right Way. Welcome, Cora, to the Michael D. Show. Tell us about your book. In fact, you've got a copy hot off the press. Hold it up here for us.
Here it is.
There we go. Now, this is a good-sized book. How many pages is this book?
There are about 345 pages in this book.
Well, exciting. In fact, we've got a special guest we're going to bring on a little bit later. And what was so fun about writing this book compared to, say, your children's books, your faith book, or your first book? What excited you about this one?
This book is very special because it's based on my family. And as I wrote it, I got to know several relatives that I didn't even know existed. I even spoke the other day with probably the oldest ancestor in our family. Her name is Claudia, and she is in her 90s. And I shared with her about how I'm writing the book about our family. And I could just tell it just brought her happiness just to think back on the memories that she had, getting to know the people that are in this book.
Now, I know you did a lot of research here, and I'm sure that was pretty epic to be able to share that with her, having all that history. Did she remember some of the stories? Did she help add some insights and give you some feedback on that? Or was she reading it after the fact?
Oh, she was able to give me some insight about, I have a great uncle who played tennis with a great aunt that I didn't know that they hung out together, and just gave me some insight about some of the personalities of some of the people that are in the book. So it was a lot of fun talking to her, and I think that she just enjoyed remembering.
Now I'm going to ask you, before I ask you how you stumbled upon some of this history and decided to write a historical fiction book based on a true story with real facts, you brought a guest today to the show, and she's a very special guest to you that you've known for a long time. Do you want to introduce our next guest?
I would love to. My daughter, Hannah Darrah, lives up in New Jersey, and she and I have been working together on this book. And she has been the person that has done all the artwork, and she did the cover, and I just absolutely love the spine that she did. And
beautiful cover.
That cover, and right here in North Carolina, which is where we're located, where Durham is located. And so Hannah and I have worked together on this project, and I've enjoyed every moment of it.
Well, no doubt it brought mother and daughter together, even though you're miles apart. And I'm just now meeting Hannah for the first or second time here. I think virtually we met once before. But Hannah, was your mom always into history and into writing books as you were growing up?
No, I don't know. I don't think she was.
At what point did you realize your mom had embarked on a 300-page book?
I think after hearing her talk about the amount of research that she was doing at the Rubenstein library, and how often she was going over there, and yeah, I really enjoyed reading it. And I think I really didn't know like the true length of it until she sent me the manuscript. But
so I got to ask you about the cover design. Was there something in the manuscript that kind of gave you the idea for this cover, or did it come out of your conversations with your mom, or how'd that come about?
I mean, I think it was really influenced by, the mausoleum, obviously. A lot of the images that she gave me, the picture of Richard Harvey Wright on the spine. And yeah, it has like it's very subtle, but like one of the textures that I put on the book is like a kind of a leathery
Yeah.
texture. It's like an overlay. I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
it
it's
digitally,
it's
but
almost like visually you can feel it with your hands. Tactically, it's got this thing that makes you want to hold the book and grab it. So
oh,
nice,
that's
really
great.
nice job. Really show us the spine again, please, Cora, because I think it's just a great design. That's going to look so beautiful on the bookshelf. Now you're getting a lot of requests, Cora, to do shows or to do events, to speak at schools, to speak everywhere. What have you got coming up this next month during launch month?
Well, I have several book clubs that have invited me to come and speak, as well as there are a couple of principals at different schools in Durham in the area that would love for me to come and talk about the history of Durham. I also am going to be speaking to the Folio Club, which is a club, it's a group of women that came together from Duke University. The professors at Duke University's, their wives back in the 1930s formed this club, and it's a literary club. And I have been asked to come and speak about my book.
Oh, that's very exciting, and the history there is so rich and goes so deep. In fact, you describe it like this: the story of Durham told the right way allows the reader to take a step back into the history of Durham. That's right. You get in the time machine with Cora in the book from this man's point of view. This story allows the reader to experience the dynamics in the life of Richard Harvey Wright, who first came to Durham in the late 1870s and built what the world knows is a dream to build the tobacco empire. He actually did it with so many obstacles in his life. You take us down the streets. The story allows the reader to experience the dynamics that took place between Washington Duke, William T. Blackwell, John Merrick walked the streets of Durham. Cora Darrah, you are a native of Durham as well as a distant ancestor of Richard Harvey Wright. You've spun the story based on countless hours of delving into Richard's personal archives. They are stored at the Rubenstein Library on the campus of Duke University. Now, you're no stranger to libraries and schools. You're an educator, but you've retired and you're enjoying an amazing retirement. So I got to say, Hannah, are you writing any books? Tell us, did some of your moms, no, not writing anything? Are you sure? Because this would be the time to disclose it and let the world know.
No, I mean, no, I'm an animator and I enjoy doing illustration design work. So this has been a great, our partnership has worked out really well since I can, make the actual physical book happen. But yeah, I enjoy the visual aspect.
So did any of your friends in the design world, when learning about this design you did, realize that you are possibly an heiress to this wealthy estate? And then how has that changed your life reading your mom's book? Are there any hidden secrets here? Are there any lost wills or trusts that have been discovered in the pages of the book?
No, but I mean, I feel like most connected to like I felt moved by hearing about my great grandmother and my grandmother, and I mean, it's not my grandmother's history other than like learning about her mom and how her mom treated her. Other than that, you don't really learn a whole lot about her, but that really set the foundation for her life. And because I never met her in person, unfortunately, she passed away before I was born. It was really special to learn about that history.
That's something beautiful right there. Not everybody is I realize how blessed I was as a kid to meet both sets of great grandparents. Not everybody gets that. So your mom is painting this picture through all of her research and her writing. Do you feel like you actually knew some of the characters then at that point? And what were some of the qualities that you took away from the book about your ancestors?
Oh, well, I guess that, I mean, Richard Harvey Wright was a complicated individual. I think my mom's book does, I think she did a pretty good job at like being neutral in terms of like not praising him necessarily, but and just being honest about the fact that he was not, necessarily a pleasant person, but he did, some impressive things in his life. And, I have a business of my own. So in that sense, I'm inspired by Richard Harvey Wright. I'm not really inspired by by the tobacco industry. But I think it's it's all very interesting learning about Durham and my ancestors' like role in the shaping of Durham.
Did you have any personal idea that maybe you were related to this famous family before you read your mom's book?
I think so, to some extent. But I think the information I had maybe wasn't necessarily like, I think at first I was told that he invented the cigarette rolling machine, but I think through my mom's research, she kind of clarified that he, just had a part in bringing it to the U.S., to North Carolina, and right? Do I have that right?
Yeah. Well,
That's correct.
You read the book, and I want to get back to you in a bit. But Cora, I'm wondering, as you doing the research, as you're writing the book, how did the story impact you? How did it change you? And then did you actually crawl into this story as a character in this story? Did you see yourself interacting with your ancestors here?
That's interesting. This has been such an incredible journey. I mean, just the fact that my daughter and I are working together is one incredible aspect of it. But I have met people that I didn't even know existed that are my relatives that all have this one common bond, and that is Richard Harvey Wright. And as I was writing it, I have a great aunt. Her name is Cora, who I was named after. And I felt like I could relate to her more than any of the other characters. But I also wanted to bring out kind of what the impact from the wealth that my great uncle had and passed it on to my grandfather. And just kind of, you were asking back, have we found some will or some treasure or something? And as I go through these documents, and I go through thousands of documents, I'm looking. I'm looking. But so far.
See, I think he knew what he was doing. He wanted you to write the story, and he buried it deep enough. It's like a treasure map. You have to keep searching. So, you've done a lot of travel. You're a retired educator, special education, special needs children education. But as you've retired, you've been traveling the world. You just got back from Europe, and you're playing a lot of tennis, and you said you're getting ready to go on a cruise. Have you, how much of your time has been spent on this book? You said hundreds of hours. Would you say 30% of your time is spent studying and researching and writing with this book, or what has it been?
Well, it kind of varies, but at this point, I would say about 30%. I mean, I try to write every day, and even if it's not, quote, writing a book, I try to write down my feelings and thoughts, and I find it to be very therapeutic. But it also motivates me to continue the writing process, because at this point, even though I have finished this book, I am in the midst of continuing writing what happens after Richard Harvey Wright dies. Because one of the things that I have found, that when people have read this book, they come back to me and they say, I want to know more about Richard. Mm-hmm. I want to know more about Helen. And that's, to me, means the world, that people have been able to relate to these characters and want to know more about them.
Wow. What was the hardest part? Did you ever, with this book, did you get stuck at some point, or was it so captivating that you were just motivated to continue the research and writing? Or did you actually reach a point where you're like, I'm sick, I've got to take a break from this?
Well, to be honest with you, I broke my ankle, and that put things on the back burner, because I couldn't go do the research that I was so wanting to go do. at Rubenstein Library at Duke University. And because of that, I did kind of have to put it on a back burner. But for the most part, ever since I started this journey of just trying to find out more and more and more about my relatives and the story of how this particular man impacted Durham, it motivated me to continue to research and to continue to write.
What is the definition of historical fiction?
Well, okay, so I have written it's in a novel. It's a novel format. So, of course, it's historical. I have tried to stick as close to the facts as I possibly can. But because I use dialogue and conversation, there's no way that it's factual. It's totally factual. So it is based on historical events and real people. Most every single person that is in this book actually lived. And so I spun this story based on the information that I have learned.
Do you have you gotten any conversations about creating a movie out of this book?
Well, I have had a conversation with one person who is in a production. She works for a production studio, and so I am definitely going to continue that conversation with her, and we will see what happens.
Yeah, be sure you play a cameo in the movie, because I think you and Hannah both deserve a cameo in the movie. It's to be your big break into Hollywood with your IMDb credit. So, tell me, when you went to Europe with your husband, and your friends, were you able to promote the book a little bit? How did that go?
Well, I did promote it because we were on a barge. There were like 95 people on this barge, and I would say about 30 of them were Americans. And so I had my card ready to give to each person that I could, and share with them a little bit about the book. And it's funny because my husband has heard a lot about this book and about Richard Harvey, and my grandchildren have been hearing about it, and they even are right now wanting to help me with marketing and getting the word out about it, because they know that this is their ancestors. So as I was in Europe, I was able to have a lot of conversations and share a lot with a lot of people about what I'm doing.
Well, the exciting thing is the book is launching. You can pre-buy it now on Amazon, and the official release date, September. It's coming up in September. You can pre-buy it now. It's releasing on September the 26th. Tell me I'm right. The Kindle and the print versions are releasing on September 26th. And what kind of feedback have you been getting from your readers here? I'll just read a few of the reviewers. Sally Markham says the story of Durham told the right way is a historical novel about Richard Harvey Wright, a man who was influential in the economic and business development of Durham. Cora gives a clear description of the happenings in Durham in the late 19th and 20th century. And by reading the book, I learned more about the history of Durham than I had ever known before. Even though I've lived in the city for the last 50 years, I would recommend this book to anyone interested in Durham history. So there you go. I mean, history teachers everywhere love you for this. So what kind of a feedback are you getting from people that have done the early readings?
I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. I'm hearing from relatives. I'm hearing from people that I don't even know that I have been getting feedback from, that are hearing about the story and wanting to purchase a copy.
Well, historical societies, there's historical days. There's all kinds of days in North Carolina, in Raleigh, Durham, and everywhere. It's so rich in history. And I think your book is going to be featured in a lot of places that tourists visit, from museums to libraries to bookstores. So what's next for Cora? Have you got another book in the works?
Well, I'm just doing some more research. This time it's more based on my grandfather, who takes over the business, and what he and his brother have to go through once my great uncle dies. And there is a story there. It's a little bit more complicated to put together, but that's what I'm presently working on.
Well, that's exciting. This book is over 300 pages. It's a great read. I know it's pre-selling now and it's available everywhere. So what's the best way for people to get you on their podcast, get you on their media interviews, get you on their stage speaking about a story of Durham?
Well, if they want to contact me at coradarrah.com, or they can also contact me through email at coradarrah@yahoo.com or coradarrah@gmail.com. And I would be glad to come in and speak.
There you go. There you have it. So Hannah, a real story here, real truth moment. How long did it take you to get through the book, to read the book?
Not long. I maybe my mom can tell me otherwise, but it really just took me like no more than a week. It really is it's a easy and fast read. Yeah.
Outstanding.
So it's enjoyable.
Well, kids from 4th grade up to 90-year-olds are loving it. The reviews are great and they keep coming in. So pre-launch it now. Get author Cora Darrah on your stage, on your podcast, and reach out to her. There she is. Grab a shot of that book and take this to your reading group. And I think buy 10 or 12 for your Sunday school class, your women's group, your reading group, because this book will be up for discussion. Not only if you're living in the Carolinas, it's rich in history, but just for people that love the history of the South and love U.S. history. This book is so well done. It's a great read, and it's a very refreshing take on history told in a fiction story format. So Cora, great job. Congratulations on the book, on the release, and we're very excited to help you promote it here on the Michael D. Show, where we interview amazing authors from around the world each and every week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.